Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning, and thanks for coming back for another Sunday for Faith in Our Hometown. I hope your Sunday morning's been wonderful so far, but thanks for joining us for a Sunday morning. My guest this morning is going to be one of my colleagues from over at Missouri Southern, John Smith. John is the director of the Baptist Student Center, and this morning we're going to be talking a little bit about how one goes about doing faith on a college campus. How do we go about helping shepherd that process as campus ministers? And what's our relationship with the university, how all that works, where our students come from, all those kind of good things. Faith is one of those times where, college is one of those times where many times people's faith gets challenged, and some of us are trying to there to make sure that we've got some kind of a net for those who want to belong somewhere. And so this morning we're going to be talking about campus ministry and how that works for us. We are going to be back right after this Mercy Minute, but stick with us for what I hope to be a lively conversation on faith on campus and how we go about that. Right after this Mercy Minute.
Once I quit playing football, I still kept up with the eating, the amount of calories I wasn't exercising, so the weight started adding on. Dr. Lou is very knowledgeable in the work he does. He also has a program set up that has support systems in place for you. You'll go through the seminar at first. He'll give you the different examples of surgeries you can have to see which one works best with you. He will also sit down with you and discuss the options, what he feels, but he'll work with you the entire time. Mercy has their gastric bypass program here. They have all kinds of resources and support systems in place. They want to see you succeed, and they're here to help you the entire time, even after the surgery.
Well, again, thanks for sticking with us this morning for this episode of Faith in Our Hometown. This morning we're talking a little bit about faith on campus. We're about midway through another semester, and John Smith is my guest here as director of the BSU, and of course I'm involved with Catholic Campus Ministry at Missouri Southern. Those are just two of the campus ministries. We've got several others there as well, but we wanted to talk a little bit this morning about why do we justify what we're doing and all those kinds of things. So John, why don't you introduce yourself to our visitors who may not have met you before, and then we'll talk a little bit about campus ministry at Southern.
All right. Well, my name is John Smith, and I have been in college for about 25 years now. I went to the University of Oregon, and college ministry played a huge role in my life. I was kind of one of those students who was sort of wandering a little bit, trying to figure out what am I supposed to do. College is that time when you grow up, you become suddenly responsible for yourself. There is no one there to do your laundry. There is no one there to tell you to change your sheets more than once a semester. Change your sheets more than once a semester.
Good advice.
Just please.
Good advice.
There's no one there to tell you when to do your homework, when to go to bed. As you transition from being a high school senior to being a college freshman, often, especially if you've traveled any distance from home to go to school, you've lost your local support network of friends, you've lost your family of faith. Everything is gone. Everything that you knew,
right? And
suddenly you are surrounded by 1,000 people who all want a little piece of you. Mm-hmm. Every student organization on campus wants a little piece of you. Right. Every option and opportunity is out there in front of you. And people,
your professors are going to require you to actually study, not just have a high opinion of it, but to actually do it.
They want you to go to class.
Exactly.
And in the middle of that maelstrom, our faith is tested.
Right.
But
I also think it not only is it tested, but and I know you see this too, but you see it flower and blossom so much for so many of our students, because again, it's no longer just what mom and dad did, or they rolled me out of bed and dragged me to church on a Sunday morning, but it's kind of like, now this is my faith. I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to live it and do this as an adult, which is just a wonderful and a privileged position, I think, for people like us to be in.
We learn how to live on our own faith and not borrow the faith of our parents.
That's right.
And that is difficult.
Sure.
We worry. The university worries about the physical wellness of their students. They worry so much about the mental health of their students, but for campus ministry and local churches, there is no one to look after the spiritual well-being of the students on campus.
Well, and what's interesting to me is even in all of the literature for higher ed, which is the, people who, try to figure out, okay, how are we going to create these good environments for our students? All the environment and all of the literature speaks to the spiritual component of the student, and it speaks to the fact that campuses can and should, make sure that something's around to help provide that. Mm-hmm. But again, campus ministry works in partnership with the university to make sure we provide that. Now, of course, they don't just provide one. They allow any of the groups that want to have a place to have a place. Mm-hmm. We do have to follow some certain guidelines and work within that community of higher education, and within the bounds of what they consider the fair rules and the way we treat each other
Absolutely.
in higher ed. But we've got wonderful access. Nobody tries to block us. There's never really any discussion about, well, that's church and state and we can't do that, because they know it's a part of who their students are and how their students function. And so, we're actually very much by the university community welcomed and invited to come in and provide this support for the students, because they know that if their students are, I think, well physically, if they're well emotionally, and if they're well spiritually, their students are going to be happier, they're going to succeed, and they're going to accomplish one of the goals that they came to that university for, which was to form themselves into the people that they want to be as they step forward to do their next chapter in life, which is wonderful.
And Southern does a great job, by the way. Missouri Southern does a great job of allowing us to have access to students and to be able to reach out in various ways to meet those spiritual needs on campus.
Yeah, and I feel like we have a very good partnership with the university in that regard. We have to be registered student organizations, which basically means that any group on the campus that has X number of students and a faculty sponsor and all that kind of good stuff can form any kind of a group on campus, whether it's an anglers club or a spiritual organization. Catholic Campus Ministry and BSU are two of those. What are some of the others we've got that are more active this semester? Koinonia.
This semester, Koinonia is a registered student organization. They represent most of the Christian church groups on campus. And I know Fellowship of Christian Athletes is also registered on campus. I'm not sure. I know that there are others, but off the top of my head, those are the two that I remember.
Yeah, those are the ones that we rub elbows with the most, so they're the easiest ones for us to talk about. Although, again, and I always say this to a group, if there's some, any of your students that are out there that are watching, or your students are there and you don't think their spiritual needs are being met, encourage them to band with other students of the same ilk, and they're welcome to join and to form a student organization. One of the things I always used to, oh my gosh, people probably yell at me for saying this, but we always had like an earth-based or a Wiccan group or whatever, and we go, oh my God, they're satanic. I'm like, no, they're really not, but they're going about it their own way. And somebody said, well, Father, I don't like them existing there. We like you being there, but then I said, hey, look, if you gotta allow me to have access, you gotta allow them to have access too, because it's however the students want to define that for themselves.
I'm a big fan of free speech, and honestly, it's the same thing with faith on campus.
Exactly.
You can't grant access to one and not grant access to all.
Yeah, and we firmly support those other groups for being there. We may disagree with some of what some of them might believe or how they might go about it, but again, we can't have access and do what we're trying to do and then try to block that access for somebody else who's trying to do the same thing.
Exactly.
I find Southern, again, as you said, very supportive. I find it a great environment. People are very happy to have us around and find us, a great addition and a great enhancement to student life. And that's always been my experience in the 11 years I've been here. How many years have you been at Southern now, John?
This is I'm in my 13th year right now.
Okay, and before I came here, I was at Southeast Missouri State University for 13 years, and you were at Indiana how long?
I was at Indiana University for 3 years.
Okay, so between us we've got God, we're old together when it comes to campus ministry. Wow. Maybe, some once in a while I ever wonder whether or not I'll ever graduate and get out of here, but what the heck. I'm having a good time anyway.
I tell people if I retire doing what I'm doing right now, I will feel fulfilled.
Good. Yeah. And I really do truly feel like that's a fulfillment for me too. I just really think we're in a great position of privilege to be allowed to walk with our students that are doing that great job of, I think, growing themselves up and figuring out how to be men and women of faith while they're, going about their, finishing their degrees and doing their thing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. There have been some recent things that have come down, in terms of challenges to, high school football coaches and things like that want to pray with their kids or do those kinds of things. And, and again, the Supreme Court and many other people are worried about, making sure that nobody is, telling our young what to believe or how to believe, or are trying not to, even in any non-threatening ways, develop some kind of a thing where it feels like they're being coerced or, talked into a certain practice or any of those things, including something as simple as a prayer before a football game, okay? Mm-hmm. We don't have those problems in higher ed.
No.
We really don't.
No.
Because, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful. I understand why people are concerned, and the younger they go, the more I do think we have to worry about, people not getting their hooks into our kids. But the wonderful thing about campus ministry is they're all adults and got to figure out how to navigate this thing. And so as they're the ones doing it, we're just there to help. It's not like, I'm, dragging all the Catholic students around by the ear and saying, "Oh, you got to do it this way." And I'm sure you have just about as much luck with the Baptist students as I do with the Catholic ones in terms of, quote, telling them how to live life.
I would love to have all the Baptist students show up in the same place at the same time and do what I ask, but that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It certainly doesn't with the Catholics either. But, we've got a great group on campus this year. Are you guys having a good year as well?
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, each year it's always different, because you got a different leadership group, you got a different group of students. You always graduate some of your favorite ones, and but then you get a whole new batch, and it's a whole new ball game. So we start in the fall with information fairs and campus craze and all those things are just saying, okay, folks, we're here. And, and I love it those first few weekends because, family members are down with their students and, they're all looking and saying, oh, thank gosh, you're around on campus. Oh, I'm so thankful that you're there, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, okay, but they've got to do the work.
They do.
It's them.
I've been blessed this year. I have an 18-year-old daughter on campus this year.
Oh, there you go. She's actually at Southern.
She's at Crowder.
Okay.
Our ministry actually is more of a Joplin area ministry.
Right.
We are specific to Southern, but because Joplin is a small enough community, Webb City included, we pull students from different campuses in the immediate vicinity, and we will share students with Crowder College in Neosho as well, because for us, we have students who live in Joplin but go to campus. They go to Crowder to school, and so they will come home after classes and want to have a time of ministry with people that look like them and are their age, and so they come to our ministry. Just as we also there's a Baptist Student Union at Crowder in Neosho, and we have students that will come to Southern, go home to Neosho, and that's where they'll go to the BSU there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give a shout out to the group because there's a Catholic Campus Ministry group as well down at Crowder, and they're doing a great job. They've really only kind of gotten organized and been doing their thing for a couple, 2 or 3 years now, but it's been fun watching them grow to do their thing too. So we're on most college campuses. So we're here this morning talking about campus ministry, specifically at Southern, but this is Faith in Our Hometown. Don't go away. We're going to be right back after a quick break, so stay with us.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, thanks for sticking with us this morning. Again, my guest, John Smith from the Baptist Student Union at Missouri Southern, one of my colleagues there. And, we enjoy working together. I hope that's obvious to everybody. But we got some good things going on campus. So brag a little bit about what's happening with BSU this year.
We've had we've had some great success early in the year. One of the things we started doing a few years ago was taking college students to church camp.
Cool.
Which is kind of an odd thing. You think of church camp as sort of something that you do when you're a kid, but we found that by taking a group with us over the summer, there is actually a college camp that we can take them to, and it's church camp, but it is for college students.
Fun.
They do everything different. It's great having freshmen on that trip. I love it because they get out of the van and they immediately are like, well, what do you want? What am I supposed to do now? And it's just like college. You're responsible for yourself. Food is that way. There's your bed. We'll see you in a couple of days. No, we don't go that far, but they do have to realize for the first time, wait, you mean you're not going to just walk me everywhere and I don't have to stay with the group, I can go split up. And so we've been taking students to that for about 5 or 6 years, and this year we brought another good group. We've really enjoyed Collegiate Week. It's been in New Mexico every year, which is great.
Which,
for
gotta
us.
love that.
Next year it's going to be in Falls Creek, which is a camp south of Oklahoma City. And so
A little closer to home.
A little closer to home for us. Hopefully, when the van breaks down beside the road, it'll be a lot closer, easier to get somebody there to pick us up.
There you go.
But we've also had some real success just in having a lot more outdoor activities. For us, that's been a flavor. And I don't know if you've seen this in your students, but in our students, I have somehow this year been blessed with this group that love to play outside. And so float trips, canoe trips,
Right.
camping, hiking, anything they can do to be outdoors together has been, which to somebody who grew up in Oregon just speaks to my heart a little
Sure.
bit. I just want to say that I love that, and I am thrilled that we've got this group that wants to go and include everybody and bring as many with them as they can and share experiences in the outdoors and the creation that God gave us.
What I love every year is that we get these new folks that are excited, and they bring some of the flavor of their own youth groups and things back home. But again, they slowly get the message that realize, here's the difference. I always tease my colleagues that do youth ministry versus campus ministry, because I said, when you're doing youth ministry and your kids come up and they say, we're hungry, well, what do you have to do? You got to feed them. When they come up to you as college students and say, I'm hungry, you just go eat. Just go figure it out. Go eat. Now, if we happen to have some food on hand here, you can fix it and then you can eat it. But I mean, otherwise, it's just kind of like you go do it because you're the ones that are in charge of that. And so I love it when they bring their new ideas and some of those kinds of things. Our group this year decided they were going to do in terms of just trying to introduce some new people to our fun and our activities and our faith opportunities. They decided the first week the first month they were going to go out and gather some other Catholics on campus that we might not necessarily see. But then after that, they decided they wanted to go. After that, they decided they wanted to go now and gather. Y'all come. It's just like, let's go invite anybody that just doesn't know anything about us, anybody that wants to just come and see what we're about. And so it's been kind of fun because of the energy that they bring to that. And again. I just keep telling them, it's just like, you guys are the ones that are covering the campus. I'm certainly not covering the campus.
Nobody wants to talk to their dad. And
Exactly.
I'm at that point now where
Really, literally.
quite literally, yes.
Literally.
I should probably say something to my daughter, Alyssa. Hi.
There you go.
And but yeah, no, they don't want to talk to somebody who looks like their dad. They don't want to talk. They want to talk to somebody who looks like they want to talk to somebody who's 20 years old and a little more hip. And so yeah, giving them ownership of the ministry is one of the most exciting aspects of it. Seeing them grow into their faith and take leadership in directions that you would never think of yourself, and just kind of helping guide them towards sanity sometimes, but sometimes even letting them fail, just so you can pick them up and do the evaluation and help them grow from that experience.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting. One of our things that our students, I keep thinking they're going to get tired of it, but they don't. So, I mean, this in one regard is they want to talk to me, but they want to talk to me where they can ask their questions. Okay, so we did this thing, and again, this is not to be offensive to anyone, but I mean, Catholics don't have a problem with drinking as long as it's done responsibly. Okay, and so we did this thing called bar hopping with Father Jay. Now, it sounds very risque, okay? Because people are just like, bar hopping with a priest, oh my goodness. But I mean, we tell them the rules that all still apply. If you're under 21, you can't drink. If you are over 21, obviously you're welcome to drink, but we expect you to do it responsibly because, in other words, don't make me come over there, okay? That kind of thing. But the fun part is they just gather in a place that they choose. One of the local watering holes. Most of them don't even drink. I mean, they might sell us, a couple of beers to a couple of the people in the crew, but the whole thing is it's done well, it's done responsibly, it's done socially, and then they pick the topic. And so it's like they pick a topic. Okay, Father, just talk about this for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna put all the questions in a box so that everybody can ask whatever their questions are anonymously. The favorite one of all time, usually during February, is sex, love, and relationships, okay? So for Valentine's Day, that's what they want to be able to talk about. Why does the church teach this? And why do we do this? And why do we care about this? And and it's just like, so it's again, those forums where, again, they've been taught some of these things as they were kids, but sometimes, they never connected the dots. They never said, well, why do we teach that? And again, my whole thing is if nobody understands why we practice what we teach, well, then why would they do it? If they don't understand why they do it, and if they don't understand it, then why would they choose it? If they choose it, then fine, we're in good shape. They're doing whatever, following, quote, my best advice, or the advice of an elder, if you will. And here's our best advice, and follow in the gospel in this regard. But at least then they've got the opportunity to ask their own questions about it and make their own, connecting of the dots, rather than just do this because I said so.
Yeah, we try to have a discussion time after each time when we teach. We come together each week and have a time of teaching, and we try to follow that with discussion, which you wouldn't do in church, but you probably should when you think about it. Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah.
But we just follow. The way we do that is to invite discussion in the immediately following the lesson, so that they have a chance to ask those questions and to explore the material in their own way. I would get fired so fast.
Oh, sure. No. And I'm not, again, most other groups
I would be gone so
but again,
fast.
because of our way of being able to do it. I mean, there was concerns. Even the Southern one's like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, we're doing this in
I've
our
seen
own
the
way.
flyers. I've seen the flyers. They get comments.
Yeah, well,
even to me, they get comments.
I was like, And again, it's not that we are trying to encourage a culture of alcohol or a culture of drinking, but it's a matter of saying, how do we model ourselves as adults living in the world with options to make about what we're going to do and how we're going to spend our social life and how we're going to choose to conduct ourselves? How can we do that responsibly and still see that as an opportunity to share faith? Still see that as an opportunity for us to connect and to make it bigger, make the mystery bigger than just going out and having a drink with a friend. But going out and having that drink with a friend perhaps might be about sharing faith. Again, we can do that because, again, the way because of the way we will do those things. I'm certainly not encouraging you to do that because I like you, John. I don't want you to lose your job, and I also don't want your students to do anything that they don't think that they should be doing. Yeah. Same thing with mine. We've both done this a number of years. What do you think the biggest challenge is right now in terms of our ministry?
I'm getting old. The reality is that every year the students stay the same age.
Yeah.
And that makes it more and more difficult to communicate down to the next generation. Every year I have to learn a new social media platform, you have got to stay current. And
I just make them do the social media platform.
And that becomes a challenge.
Sure it does.
Funding for the ministry is always a challenge. That's another
So if you want to make a donation, if you're a Baptist out there and you want to make a donation to the BSU, please get in touch with John at the BSU. Certainly same thing for Catholic Campus Ministry, and I'll speak for any of other campus ministry groups. If that's something you've got a passion for and a heart for, and that's something you want to make sure that you can do, get in touch with the particular groups because we'd love the support. We use a lot of the folks in the parish to cook meals for us. Our parishioners open up their homes so that we can take our students to another home for a dinner once a month. All those kinds of things are, if our students have a conference to go to, they'll do fundraising among some of those people because, they're trying to raise money to go to, Catholic Leadership Conference, here, there, or somewhere else, and those kinds of things. So ours are very tied in with the parish. We're what we call a parish parish-based campus ministry. Although we are, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but we've got dreams now. We're in a moratorium for building right now, but one of our big dreams is to actually finally break ground and build across the street from you all.
I have heard.
You guys have got a building, and again, but having a building is a blessing and a curse, but it certainly gives you a platform to do ministry, and we wanted to build one across the street from you.
One of our biggest, maybe the biggest ministry program we have is a lunch that goes out every week. We have local churches supply us with lunch, and every Wednesday, any student, staff, or faculty from the university that want to come by from 11:30 to 1 o'clock was served a free meal.
I have even known them to feed Catholics in the past, when they show up with some of their friends.
I remember one student who came in, and he actually asked permission to enter the building. He looked like his hair was going to catch on fire, and
it's so good for our students to be around each other and not be afraid of these kind of conversations, and for them to learn how to do that, because in so many cases they didn't. They were taught, we don't go in that other church, we don't go near those people, they're different. So at any rate, we're here talking about campus ministry. We are going to be back after a quick break. We're going to have another Mercy Minute. But my guest this morning has been John Smith from the Baptist Student Union. We've been talking about campus ministry out at Missouri Southern and Crowder. So hang with us. We'll be right back.
The SANE program, or Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner program, is a program established to provide a coordinated, specialized care to patients or women or men who've been the victim of sexual assault.
The SANE program is really designed to be a collaborative community response to sexual assault.
It's really important to make sure that it's not just the report or the forensic, but they get all of the testing that might be needed for their health.
It's also important to know that you don't need to know if you want to press charges or not. We don't get law enforcement involved unless you request it.
I just want to express to the victim that it is never your fault. You always have the right to say no, and that it's your body. So if you say yes one time, it doesn't mean every time.
I think it's important that sexual assault victims remember they've been victims of a crime, and crime victims do not pay for those services.
Well, thanks again for joining us for another morning for Faith in Our Hometown. Thanks for giving over some of your Sunday morning to spend it with us. My guest this morning has been John Smith, who's the director of the Baptist Student Union, and of course I'm with Catholic Campus Ministry as well at Missouri Southern. We also have some fingers down into Crowder, which is another good thing. But at any rate, we're talking this morning about ministry on campus. Our students come from a variety of places, and they create a new home. And when they come to campus, they've got a desire to figure out how they connect as people of faith. Our ability to connect them as people of faith with the rest of the ways that they grow, in all the many ways that they grow on campus, is a true blessing to us, and they are continued blessings to our community. I hope that you continue to open your arms to them, and indeed to all of them as they continue to search for their ways of faith. As they continue to grow among us on campus. Join us next week for Faith in Our Hometown. We hope you have a great Sunday. And again, let's continue to hold each other in prayer and in goodwill.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.